I've been feeding Scrappy a lot of food over the past few days to find out exactly how the new Scrappy function works. Spoiler alert, you can get some pretty awesome items from Scrappy now. Yeah, he's turned into quite the efficient scavenger, that's for sure. I'm going to break down exactly how it works, the best fruit to choose, and how to find the fruit as well. So let's talk about the basics first. So the new feed feature allows you to add fruit into the food queue. As you can see here, I can choose to add any of the fruit that I have from my storage, and then that will go into the food queue, and Scrappy will eat that when we join a raid. So right now, I've got 5 prickly pears into my food queue. Now, it says that there's a chance of getting an item from one of these fruit, right? The way it really works, I figured this out to the T. As long as you join a raid and stay in the raid for at least 6 minutes, you are guaranteed a random item corresponding to whichever fruit has been in first position in the queue. So for example, I've right now got the prickly pear in the first slot in my queue. If I join a game now and stay in the raid for at least 6 minutes, regardless of whether I die or extract, Scrappy will consume this prickly pear and give me a random item from the utility station, whether it's a crafting item or an actual utility station item, like a zipline. Now, because I've got items in this queue, I don't need to keep adding things into it. For the next 5 rounds, it's just going to keep taking food from this automatically, so I can kind of just keep playing and then come back later and see what items Scrappy has collected for me. Now, let's break this down a little bit further into what fruit provides which items, because this is where it gets really interesting. Olives are dedicated to the medical workshop, so this is going to give you, medical crafting items or the actual medical items themselves. Most of the time, you're going to get the crafting item, though. So, for example, it could give me durable cloth, it could give me antiseptic, it could give me great mullein, it could give me arc power cells, and it could give me an advanced arc power cell, or maybe like a tick pod. Now, what's interesting is it will not give you the base crafting. So, for example, the olive, right? We just talked about that. It gives you medical material, but that does not include fabric or rubber parts or plastic parts or chemicals. It doesn't give you the very base materials. It gives you something one level up. So that could be mechanical components or all the way up to the actual craftable item itself, such as, in my case, I got a kinetic converter earlier, which is pretty cool. So the olives are tied to medical workshop items. The mushrooms are tied to gearbench items, so you could get any of the crafting items required to craft anything you see here. Now, what's important to note, you don't need to have the blueprint. Scrappy will find you something regardless of whether you have the blueprint or not. And it can even find you the item itself. There's a rarer chance that instead of finding the crafting item for one of these things, it will just bring back the item itself. And there are many posts online of people getting things like the Safekeeper augment, even though they don't have the blueprint for it. So Scrappy can just bring back anything within this category of items if you feed him a mushroom. Apricots will give you something from the gunsmith. Lemons will give you something from the explosive station. So if you get lucky, you could get a wolf pack or a deadline. In most cases, you're going to get explosive crafting materials. So that could be something like arc alloy, crude explosives, maybe a battery, maybe explosive compound or something like that. And then we've talked about prickly pears. They can get you something from the utility station. So you could get something like mechanical components, a rope, sensors, or maybe even the actual item itself, like a photo cloak or a snap hook. Now, from all of my testing, I tried to see if staying in the round longer would give you better rewards, or if maybe doing more actions in game would give you better rewards, but I don't see any correlation between that. I think that as long as you stay in a raid for at least 6 minutes, it just basically ticks a box in the game and says, yes, Scrappy will consume a food item, and yes, you'll get something in return. So it's all just random. There must be a set drop rate for each of the items that each food piece could give you, and I don't think staying in a raid for longer will really help with that, as long as it's over 6 minutes. Now, I could be wrong there, but it's going to be really hard to test it out. But from my experience so far, I haven't noticed any correlation yet. Now, there's 2 more items that are a little bit more interesting. The agave can give you gun mods or material to craft mods. Pay attention to how both of these come from the gunsmith, right? So whilst the apricot can give you gunsmith materials or equipment, this could be things to craft the actual weapon, the agave gives you the mod crafting materials, or the mods itself. And yes, that does mean you can get silencer 3s, kinetic converters, and horizontal grips Even though there aren't even any blueprints in the game for this item yet, Scrappy can still find them if you're lucky enough. And then we've got mixed fruit. Weirdly enough, this can only be crafted in a match. And to craft it, you need 1 lemon, 1 apricot, and 1 prickly pear. So you're basically using up 3 fruit to get 1 fruit in return. But this one's a little bit different because when you get an item from Scrappy with this item, it's usually 2 items instead of 1. So Scrappy usually returns 1 item in exchange for 1 fruit piece, but with the fruit mix, you often get 2 items, and it could be a variety of different top side materials. If I go to the category tab here, you can see exactly what I mean by top side. Things like heavy gun parts, complex gun parts, processors, ropes, arc alloy, canisters, the kind of stuff that you might not actually be able to craft, but is just dropping around the world. Now, there's another functionality that is added to this as well. On top of the random item that is given, you also get bonus base materials. So let me explain how this works as well. Each item will give you some kind of bonus material based on the workbench that it's assigned to. So in this case, the olives, which is assigned to the medical workbench, will give you fabric. The mushroom, which is assigned to the gear bench, will give you plastic parts. I've tested this extensively. Every single item in this will just give you 5 extra of its corresponding material when you complete a raid of 6 minutes or more. So for example, this prickly pear right here, once I complete a raid, I'm going to get 5 extra rubber parts from that raid. The only exception is the fruit mix, which will give you 5 extra seeds, plastic parts, metal parts, chemicals, fabric, and rubber parts for completing a raid of 6 minutes or longer. So you're getting additional supplies for every base material when you use fruit mix, which is exclusive to the fruit mix feature. So with all this in mind, which is the best fruit to feed Scrappy? Well, it's going to depend on your preferences a bit. If you want to try your luck and get some wolf packs or deadlines, if that's the kind of thing you like, then maybe the lemon could be good for you. If you like snap hooks, then maybe trying your luck with the prickly pear could be a good idea. Personally, though, I think the 2 best options are agave and apricots. Apricots because they can give you some pretty rare items like the Queen Reactor and Matriarch Reactor to help you craft legendary weapons, which is pretty cool. And agave, which is my #1 choice, because it can give you items that you cannot even possibly craft and are extremely rare. The kinetic converter, the horizontal grip, both of these mods are really valuable. They're very good items that a lot of people would love to use on their weapons, but you can't find them very often and there's nowhere to craft them. Agave gives you a chance of doing that. Now, in typical gaming merchant fashion, I have tracked every single piece of item that I've gotten from Scrappy, and we could take a bit of a look through the data. I started with some apricots, and you can see pretty much you're getting what you'd expect. Just base crafting items from the gunsmith workbench. I got a lot of gun parts and the occasional single wire or single magnet or single spring. I did get a Exodus materials, which is quite nice. Basically, any potential item inside the gunsmith bench you can get from an apricot. I didn't get a single weapon though, and the description would suggest that you potentially could, but I didn't see one myself, and I did do quite a lot of apricots. For agave, we got quite a nice selection of gun parts. Whilst we did get a couple wires and duct tapes in here and there, we got quite a lot of mods, like fully built out mods. We got level 1 and level 2 mods for the most part. And then luckily I just got a kinetic converter. No way to know how rare it is without tracking this for like thousands of Scrappy eating sessions, to be honest. But I did get it, so it is possible. And then we can see the mixed fruits here, right? You're getting double of each material. So I got 2x Great Mullen, which kind of sucked. But then later on, I did get 2 speaker components. I got 2 advanced arc power cells, 2 processors, which is quite nice. I did get 1 epic item, the magnetic accelerator. I guess because that's a rarer item, the devs decided that you're not going to get 2 of that, which is a bit of a shame, I suppose. So I guess the best way to look at it is, if you want the most valuable item you can get, probably agave or apricots. If you just want more base materials, then anything goes, to be honest. Now, what's the best way to get all of this fruit? Well, currently Lush Blooms isn't in rotation, but Lush Blooms would be the best way to just stock up on all of the fruit that you could ever need, because one basket will have basically all of the fruit, right? One of the best spots is Stella Monte's Cafeteria because you can get 2 baskets in here every time. It's the only place that has guaranteed basket spawns. You'll find a battery in here. You'll need to take it into the cafeteria and open the battery room. There'll be 2 baskets in there. If you're looking specifically for agave, what you want to do is go to Buried City. There are some spawns here. There are some here, and some here. And also some around this spot. They're kind of around the outskirts of the map. Agave doesn't spawn 100% of the time, but when it does, it will sort of flash a little bit to show that you can pick it, which is quite interesting, but it's quite hard to farm that. And honestly, if you're looking for agave, fruit baskets are going to be the way. If you want apricots and lemons, there's a good set of trees here on Down Battlegrounds. Blue Gate also has a bunch of olives and apricots here. There are lemons in Village. There's a lemon tree here. For prickly pears, my favorite spot, honestly, is on Dam. You can find a lot of prickly pears right here at Patton House. You'll also find them scattered around Buried City, around the outskirts of the map as well. For mushrooms, the best spot, honestly, is Spaceport. They've buffed it quite a lot. Whilst there is the tree here in Spaceport, which has a bunch of mushrooms, you'll also find a few trees scattered around this area, which also have multiple mushrooms on now. So this is a really good spot to get mushrooms. So overall, there are ways to get all of the fruit if you need it, but I would recommend focusing on the fruit baskets. It's a lot easier. Hopefully this video was useful. Let me know, and I'll see you all in the comments. Cheerio.